Well, hello and welcome to episode 17 of the plant-based weight loss video blog, which I have not tried to do any activity in for the last several months, just because I haven't had a whole lot to say. I was in a very depressed period for a prolonged length of time, and so I just didn't want to come on here and always be really dark and negative and all that. But here today I wanted to bring my wife, who some people apparently thought didn't even exist, onto the video blog, and we're going to go ahead. I gotta pop these glasses back on or I can't read. But we're going to answer a question that somebody on a website called the Conservative Cave went ahead and asked me when I decided to go on that site and have a presence there in response to a lot of their comments about all of my online activity. So I'm going to do my best to keep this to 20 minutes tops. So let me go ahead and read the question. This is from somebody named Carl. And they say, you are here and perhaps have noticed, in contrast to the dump, which stands for Democratic Underground, which is a Democratic website I spend a lot of time on. In contrast to the dump, you have not been banned instantly. Sure, some have no use for that. So be it, and justified often. Okay? Anyways, you are trying to reduce your weight, so fair enough to think that it is likely a good thing, but my question is, to what end? Do you intend to get yourself back out in productive society with a job and sense of accomplishment? I will tell you outright that what you have put your wife through is, in my opinion, despicable. Do you not have any regrets of this? Alright, well, let me go ahead and start by saying that becoming disabled was not something I intended to do or expected to do. It just more or less happened as a consequence of my weight being up so high and the problems with my legs and the circulation and the ulcers and everything that I was going through. I ended up hospitalized and on short-term disability through my employer, and all of my hospitalizations were covered through insurance. And of course, what ended up happening is that I could not return to work. I was just too sore. I had too many issues, and the date to return to work came and went, and they had to let me go. And
which I think they didn't have a right to. I think we could have fought that, but
well, it's a very long and convoluted story. But what I did was, since my wife and I both worked at the same call center, she went ahead and put me on her insurance so that I was still insured.
They transferred the insurance from him to me.
Pretty much, yeah. They just moved it over. And so I stayed insured until she ended up getting terminated. Which was, to me, that's another long story. I think it was really bogus.
No, they terminated me because they didn't have enough work at that time, and then later on they terminated me for another reason, which they could. I didn't pursue. The first termination was because of lack of work, where we could have gone under Cobra. We chose not to. They rehired me a month or two later. I was on workman's comp, not workman's comp, unemployment. I was receiving unemployment. They rehired me, and then half a year later, they fired me for, they claimed
Pretty
that I
much,
was,
they claim that she was rude to a person who called in. Again, that's a long story and not the focus of this video, but I think it was bullshit, in plain and simple English, because she got, well, to make a long story short, she got a write-up, and then, what was it, almost an entire month later,
it
they
was
went ahead and
28 days later that they claimed that they reviewed a call and said that the call was considered rude. However, they did not tell me until 32 days after my first write-up, which was the first and only major write-up I had ever received by that company.
yeah, and what it sounds like to me is they used the one incident as a basis to terminate her.
However,
And
at the time, we were not really concerned because he was experiencing too many medical issues. We weren't insured at the time because he had refused to accept insurance because it wasn't helping. And since we weren't receiving insurance or anything, we felt that, and I was miserable there anyway, we felt that it was just better to try for unemployment again and for me to go ahead and stay home and work on helping him with his medical issues and for me to look for work at a later time.
yeah, so that's a little bit about, how I ended up on disability. They did not contest it when I filed for it, and my doctor, who, to make it clear, I have not seen a doctor in over 3 years, because I only have Medicare Part A because we cannot afford Part B. It's $100 a month just to be on Medicare Part B, and then you have to pay co-pays for every doctor visit. You have to pay co-pays for every medication, and I would have to have money for transportation to and from every doctor's appointment anyway. And by the time you add all of that up, if I had Medicare Part B, we would be living in the streets, and all of my income minus the initial $100 would just be going into paying for God knows how much shit anyway. So there you go. So I've got disability benefits, but no medical care, and while in the process of losing over 200 pounds and counting, I have a lot of improvement in some areas. For the most part, I've done more backsliding than anything. In the last few months, my right knee has gone just about completely out to the point where, it's very painful and difficult just to get from where I'm sitting right now to the bathroom, which is all of about, 15 feet away. And I've still got problems with my feet. The swelling in my left leg has gone down, but the ulcerations will not completely cease, and every time we think we have one under control, another one pops up.
Now, keep in mind, under the original reason for the disability, which were the ulcers. The ulcers have improved. He had ulcers on both legs, both feet. He is now down to an ulcer on his left foot.
Yeah, and the foot in general just looks like crap. But anyway,
It's
um,
improving.
well, the point here is, not so much to get into the specifics of everything that's wrong with me right now, although there's still a lot, and I'm very pissed off and upset that I can't afford any help at all, and that to me is just ridiculous, because I think that if I had a little bit of medical input by now, I probably would be productive again. But I'm doing the best I can, and I've lost a lot of weight under circumstances and emotional states of mind which throughout my entire life were nothing but an excuse to gain weight. So, have I grown as a person throughout all of this? Hell yes, I think I have. Um, there's no denying that. But as for the part about thinking that what I've done is despicable, my only answer to that is that if what I've done to Jeanette is somehow despicable, and I'm going to let her have her say on that in a moment. See, she didn't even know about this post or what we were going to talk about together until 3 minutes before I brought up the recording program. So this is, new to her, and this is all unrehearsed, and we're just going. And I'm at 11 minutes, so we got to finish up because I don't want this to take forever. But if what I've done is somehow despicable, then I think that every single addict out there, whether it be an addiction to food or alcohol or narcotics or deviant behavior or whatever, every single person, and this would number into the millions just in the United States, who has had a dependency or an addiction and has suffered medically because of that addiction and caused their significant other hardship of any kind because of that, then I guess all those people are despicable. And that it doesn't matter whether they're liberal, conservative, or otherwise. I guess I'm one of a lot of despicable people. But the thing is, some people will own their behavior and own their problem and try to resolve it to whatever degree of success. They'll at least make an attempt, and then tons of people out there won't. I mean, talking about fat guys, there's a couple stories out there which it would take a while to dig up and link to, but there was one dude who got so fat that he ended up stuck in a chair, unable to move out of it for like 3 years, and he ended up with literally his flesh fused to the chair. And he had a roommate and a woman who were supposed to be taking care of him, but he ended up dying fused to a chair in his own waist. Then there was another one who was very overweight, ended up injuring his foot or something, which is very similar to my own story. But he ended up living on a couch and getting so big that his only recourse was to go online and talk about praying for a job miracle where somebody would hire him again, even though his wife was feeding him whatever he wanted and enabled him to the point where he got so heavy that they took him to the hospital, and he was like 800 pounds and he died in the hospital. That to me, really, those two examples are pretty despicable. Something needed to be done for them. And there's a lot of other examples of, people on drugs whose addiction leads them into crime and everything else. I guess it's all relative. I mean, some people may deserve that despicable label and others really do not, and I don't think I do. Because, yes, I had a problem with food and was in denial about it. And I stayed productive and continued to work until it became clinically impossible because of my condition. and I had to quit all of the medications I was on once I lost insurance for diabetes and a host of other problems, plus enormous amounts of pain, which I'm still in. Part of the reason why I'm doing this video is because I don't want to type out a response, because a lot of typing now is actually, it makes my knuckles sore. So I don't know if this is the beginning stages of arthritis or what's going on with me, but I don't even sit and play games and type on the computer for long periods of time the way I used to be able to. I'm just not capable of doing it. And I have no way to get any diagnoses or any physical therapy or any thoughts of surgery on my knees or arms or anything else. And I just live with a lot of pain, and I'm not looking for any pity. It would be nice to get some help, but I don't want anybody's pity. I just want to finish losing the weight and pick up whatever pieces I can. I'll be carrying about 40 pounds of loose skin by then. I think I've already got at least 25 or 30 in all kinds of very painful and uncomfortable places. But, you know, c'est la vie. I just keep doing what I gotta do and trying to lose the weight, and we'll take it as it comes. And hopefully I will again be productive someday, but right now, you know, I'm pretty much a mess. And we're waiting for Jeanette here, who has West Valley fever infection in her lungs. Thank goodness she's eligible for the county medical assistance for the uninsured and you know, below the poverty line or whatever, because if she wouldn't have been able to get treated for that, I don't know what shape she'd be in right now. And we could be waiting up to 18 months for that to go away, according to her pulmonary doctor. So we're in limbo, because if she does get a job, A, she can only earn a very small amount of money, which would go against the food stamp benefits we get. So let's say, for example, she made $500 a month. After you take away the food stamps we would lose and the bus pass she would probably have to buy, and the extra laundry and every other expense that's in there, we would barely be ahead, which to me is ridiculous. I mean, that the system could be set up that way. And if she earned too much, like more than 800 or something in that ballpark, we don't need, yeah. Anyway, if she earned too much, she'd lose the medical benefits, and then...
Or I'd have to pay...
Yeah,
anything.
or she...
I'm not sure. It's either I'd have to lose the benefits entirely, or I'd have to pay anything over the cap in medical charges. So
Yeah, which would completely defeat the the benefit of the benefit of working
over the 800.
Mm-hmm. So we're waiting for that fungal infection to go away, and once we know that it has, then she can go out there and get as much work as she wants, and hopefully there will be a job with some kind of benefits for her anyway, where she can at least get, you know, her blood sugar checked on and any other things like that worked on. But right now we just are in this holding pattern where we're barely getting by, don't really have any discretionary income, and we just have to make the best of it.
Well, the only other alternative is if I can find work that provides me with insurance. If I can find work that provides me with insurance, provides me with a decent pay that I can do, then I could go ahead and start working as long as they covered my treatments. And I gotta
Which the
have
problem
insurance.
is
I mean, I gotta
that's,
have X-rays and stuff.
yeah, she needs x-rays and periodically and other labs, and this stuff doesn't grow on trees under the system that we've got. So anyway, we're at 20 minutes now, so to finish this up, how despicable do you think I am?
Oh, horrible. You're the worst kind. No, seriously. I mean, if I thought he was able to work, then he would. But I mean, it's like I, I personally, I could probably work, and yet I procrastinate. I haven't been out looking, pounding the pavement for looking for work. I mean, I've got a justifiable reason. I have this medical condition that I do need to get taken care of, but
Well,
it's very frustrating.
before that, I mean,
I
look at
had
look
a
at
lot
how
of issues
look
with
at how hard
gambling.
you did try. I mean, it took her a year to get ID because of a bureaucratic snafu with different counties and their records, which they changed and threw away and computerized. Yeah, it took a year for her to get ID to even be able to look for work.
Yeah, because my birth certificate became lost,
Yeah,
and the birth
and
certificate on record
well,
was under a former adoption.
all right. Anyway, it did take a year of sending mail back and forth and making phone calls, on a constant basis and questioning family. Well, what county was she adopted in? And it just, oh, it was a nightmare. And then she's been applying for jobs and had no luck whatsoever. She worked for a time with a long distance carrier, their contracted worker jobs, where they would cold call businesses and try to get them to switch their long distance back to the company that she worked for.
It was
Only,
commission only.
yeah, it was a commission only job, and she had 1 month where she made decent money, and then after that, for 3 months, she made next to nothing, and
Out
her
of 3
last,
months, I got $1,000 maybe.
not even 1,000. And we, when she got that job, we didn't even go to the food stamp office and try to renew the food stamps. We thought she would make enough money to, you know, they wouldn't give us any more, and we didn't want them. She wanted to work. And when it turned out that nobody in the entire building was making anything, and she was having weeks where she was working 30 hours and netting zero, she went back and reapplied for food stamps after quitting the job, and the caseworker was like, well, you quit gainful employment, so technically you should not be eligible to get back on the food stamps. She was like, well, you go ahead and call the office and ask the guy in charge how much I made the last month or two. And they went,
I mean,
and
the guy was really,
well,
the
yeah,
guy
he was
really
nice about it. So that what they did was they went ahead and they called, and the guy was like, yeah, in the last 2 weeks I think she's made like $70. And the last week was actually a goose egg. So what she did make was only from the week before the last one, before she just threw in the towel. And the food stamp office then had no recourse but to put us back on, because even they could see that her attempt at trying to work this job was futility. And it wasn't like she was doing poorly, the whole building was doing poorly. And so that was the end of that. And since then, she put in applications online with I don't know how many companies. She put in one with one of the cell phone companies, and They called her up for an interview at a store in a neighborhood that's probably 95% Hispanic. And on the application, on the online application, it says, "Do you know any other languages?" And she put no. So the manager of the store should have been able to look at that and go, well, this lady does not know Spanish. She can't work here. Can't talk to the people. Well, she went ahead and wasted $5, which she had to borrow from our roommate, on a bus pass and went to this interview and was promptly shot down because, duh, she doesn't know Spanish. Then there was Walmart where she applied, and when you apply online with these things, it's pretty much for every store in your market. You don't do just one, you do them all. And so one of the Walmarts called her to interview for a night stock position. And she comes in, there's a bunch of people waiting to be interviewed. You got asked, what, 2-3 little perfunctory questions, and then were waved off, and that was the end, right?
Yeah, they had 2 people that were waiting for second interviews. They said that if we're still looking, we'll call you back tomorrow, and or to call back tomorrow if we haven't called you for a second interview.
Mm-hmm.
I called back the next day. They said they'd already filled the positions. They had too many applicants looking, and they already filled them.
And there have been companies where she's applied online and they make you go through one of these ridiculous personality assessments. And there are some companies that just emailed her back and said, well, you failed the personality assessment, so we're not going to hire you. She had the same experience with Cox Communications a number of years ago, where she had to do the assessment, and in 2 categories she was great, but the social one, she scored like a 10 out of 100, so, oh, sorry, you can't work here. And when you apply online for this stuff, it's like, well, your application's good on file for 90 or 180 days, and then you can try again. So it's like you get your one shot, and if you never get a phone call, then tough shit. So what we want to do is when she gets over this infection, there are businesses obviously in our immediate neighborhood, fast food, drugstores, where she can go in and talk to the managers or whomever and at least make an impression. And we're going to try to get her into something that's within walking distance and easy to get to. And if they want, they can put her on call and she can be there in half an hour to 45 minutes. Just walk over in her uniform and be ready to work. That's what we would like to do. But right now, you know, I guess I'm just one of the despicable ones because it's not going to be long, and I don't know if I'll be able to walk at all because I think my right knee is bone on bone and the pain is excruciating, and I've come close to falling more times than I even want to admit. We
have a cat that's decided that kamikaze runs through the hallway. Whether or not there are people in the way, it's a fun way of exercising.
But we choose to keep the cat. We're not going to get rid of the cat.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you don't hear him in time, he could cause you to trip.
Well, I haven't fallen on him. I'll just fall because my knee gives out. But it hasn't happened yet. Although I've had to brace myself, and I've yelled and screamed and blurted out cuss words just trying to get to the bathroom and back. In fact, because our toilet seat is like 2 inches off the ground, I think we're going to invest in a toilet seat riser because it's harder for me to sit down and stand up right now than it was 225 pounds ago. So alright, we're getting up on 30 minutes, and I never wanted this video to be as long as this. So I'm going to go ahead and close out. But I hope I've answered your questions.
Hey, if anyone knows of any good jobs...
And hey, Evil Conservative, if you want to PM me, on the cave website, Jeanette would be happy to try and apply for work, but it's got to be once this infection's over with.
Or provide benefits so I can.
Well, yeah, but they take months to kick in, and you don't.
No, I can afford. We can afford to handle paying the indigent price for the meds. If I don't have to work, if I have to pay for 1 month or 2 months, I can handle that.
Well,
If we're making good money on in the meantime.
that's a lot of ifs, but
Well,
that's the situation we're in, and I don't want Jeanette coughing up any more blood. I want her to get over this thing, and then hopefully she'll be working again, and we'll be saving up to get out of here, out of Vegas and on to Portland, which is where we really would like to go because it's green and not as hot. Anyway.
That's me.
Huh?
I like the heat.
Yeah, I know you like the heat. So does my loose skin. I love it when I'm sweating and get... Anyway, yeah, y'all don't want to hear.
Stand my cold feet.
That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, then haters gotta hate, right? Anyway, y'all take care.
Nice meeting everybody.
Yep, peace out. Until next video.
Whenever.
Oh, yeah.
I told you to make one how long ago?
I haven't wanted to. It's tough to do when you're depressed. I said that at the outset. Alright, we're out of here. Bye-bye.